Mouthwashing, I play for you, but you never stop. Spinning my face, my love, they won't face me. Spinning my face, my love, they won't change me. Spinning my face, my love, I feel crazy. Spinning my face, my love, I feel stop. Spinning my face, my love, they won't face me. Spinning my face, my love, they won't change me. Spinning my face, my love, I feel crazy. Spinning my face, my love, I feel spinning my face, my love, they won't face me. Spinning my face, my love, they won't change me. Spinning my face, my love, I feel crazy. Spinning my face, my love, I feel spinning my face, my love, they won't face me. Spinning my face, my love, they won't change me. Spinning my face, my love, I feel crazy. Spinning my face, my love, I feel
You start the game in a spaceship's cockpit, the ship warning you of an incoming asteroid, and telling you to course correct. So you jump into the captain's seat and grab the controls, only to be met with the option to steer right into the asteroid. But it's okay, because the ship's autopilot is going to steer us to safety, while also telling you your pay has been docked for failure of navigational staff. Apparently this is what the Lethal Company actually looks like on the inside.
Oh, what? No! No, 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 no. Oh no! Oh shit! Oh no!
You lunge from your seat, heading towards the utility closet, and grabbing the emergency key, you see the emergency button on the console. A big red button offset by the glowing screen of the dashboard. And then, you push it. The ship's console lighting up, flashing red, warning sirens going off. You turn and leave, walking down the hallway that keeps going on. The lights flashing, music ramping up, sirens start blaring, the ship is shaking like crazy. Sounds of crying children can be heard. And then you turn around and impact. Mouthwashing is a 2024 game developed by Ron Organ, who also made a nice tutorial on how fish is made.
Oh, I'll help you, alright. Oh, later, loser.
I don't think this is how you do it. It also features some familiar faces, and published by Critical Reflex, the same company that published the game where you shoot yourself and maybe get paid for it. Okay, so theoretically, I can do this and, I'll be safe, right? Oh, I'm actually such a gamer. So I can just use the same trick and it'll work again because it's math, right? You play as Jimbo, co-pilot of the Tuplar, an interstellar, high-speed delivery ship. Kind of like Futurama, except more depressing. Okay, maybe it can get depressing too. What the hell is this? I thought I was watching a comedy. It's been 2 months, and your crew is stranded in space. The rest of the crew being Swansea, the ship's mechanic, Enya, the ship's nurse, and Daisuke, the ship's intern. They're talking about opening up the ship's hold to see what cargo they're delivering, as it can be something useful, although Swansea disagreeing with the group, as opening the hold can cause them to have their pay docked again. Man, this shit really is starting to get close to home. We ain't touching the damn cargo. The hold is locked down for a reason. The only thing worse than dying slowly is not getting paid. The crew all agrees that the cargo hold should be opened, and as the ship's newly appointed captain, it is your job to get the code scanner to do so. Found in the lounge, you can still talk to Daisuke. He tells you that there's only 4 months worth of food left, even saying how once he gets back, his mom's gonna turn him into an average pyro commission. And as you look around the room, you can just see the amount of damage and lack of upkeep. The mood lighting broken, so it adds a sort of fireball end of the world look over the room. The company's mascot, Polly, stands on a literal pedestal.
Ollie says.
Jimmy,
Oh,
noting
wait,
how
wait,
this
wait.
thing is
What are
sold
you
as
making?
marketable plushies. Piles of garbage and sleeping bags lay on the floor, showing that they really have been stuck in space for over 4 months. On your way to the cockpit, you run into Swansea. He's guarding the utility room again, telling you that it's been foamed up and not safe. Any wrong movement and they can open up a hole and suck themselves into space. Even openly mocking your position and title as captain. Really showing his age by making fun of kids and hating his job. The boomer moment. But he tells you to go speak to Anya in the medical wing. And once you get to the medical wing, holy shit, is that the burn man? But now, we'll get to him in a minute. You can just chill in the corner while we talk. Anya tells us that the man on the table isn't keeping still and that he's in a lot of pain. To which Jimmy roasts the fuck out of her. That's when we find out the mystery man on the table is named Curly, the ship's captain. The one you started the game as. The one who crashed the ship. But, yet again,
We get
we'll
there when we get there!
Anya then calls Curly captain, which prompts Jimmy to remind her that people have to be worth their titles, even adding a slight jab at her own title. She then asks you to give Curly his pain meds, which, once in your inventory, you can see it's standard oxycodone. Even in the future, the classics are still on top, baby.
I need the drug!
Curly, the ex-captain, lies on medical bed, skin completely burned off, body fully bandaged. Also, missing not only his hands, but his legs. You go to give him his meds, but you can't. His mouth is closed, meaning you have to pry his mouth open with your hands. And because he has no lips and probably can't even use his muscles in his throat or mouth, you have to push the pill down his throat, which is awful on its own, but gets even worse when you realize that the screen fades to black and all you can hear are the sounds of Curly grunting in pain as the pill is shoved down his throat. I read on a post on the Steam webpage about this game that this was the funniest scene to record for the game creators. I was having a tough time getting through this when I first played it. Alright, well that was fun. I will see you later. Anya, having already ran out of the room, unable to listen any further, is in the lounge, and you can still talk to her again. We don't have a whole lot of painkillers left. But you still want to keep... Why do you think he did it? Does it matter? What answer would make you feel any better? I have to believe that our worst moments don't make us monsters, Jim. I have to. Even in his case. He tried to take us all down with him, Anya. The way I see it, there's 2 reasons to keep him alive at this point. Guess the important bit is that we all agreed to it, for one reason or another. I'm still feeling nauseous. I need a minute. This bit of text here is very important for context and will be explained further down the line. Very obviously alluding to something, but I'm so stupid I didn't even figure this out the first time I played it. After this, the walk to the cockpit is a long and quiet one. Once you enter, it's completely destroyed. The console entirely foamed up. It won't ever fly again. The scanner on the floor. Your key to what might save you and your crew, or at least help you stave off the inevitable death. You meet the rest of the crew by the large, heavy doors, keeping your salvation away from your hands. You scan the door, find the code, punch it in, and you cut to 7 days before the crash. So, again, we'll get there when we get there. You now play as Curly. Before he got grilled to perfection, you're in the middle of a psyche eval with Anya. Passing, but she notes that you gave the same answers as last time, hinting that Curly might not be fully sane, or at least at the bare minimum, fully all there. And this is backed up by the intro. Anya then mentions how Jimmy never takes this seriously and says, and I quote, "I have found myself sexually excited at the sight of cartoon horses." Jimmy is 100% a Rainbow Dash fan. Curly, wanting to help Anya out, says he'll do Jimmy's psyche eval, as she seems a little nervous talking about him. But first, there seems to be a bit of a problem in the utility room. And on your way there, we get to see what the ship looked like before the crash. Untouched. Clean. Kind of like a normal cargo ship. Minus the cans of empty energy drinks. The first thing you see once you actually gain access to the utility room is that there are chambers along the wall. A closer look tells you that they're cryogenic pods and that they have about 20 years of power, meaning you'd have a bigger chance of being saved in an emergency. But there's only 4 and there's 5 people. I wonder where this will go. You talk to Swansea and Daisuke, who is unfortunately stuck. I wrote if the safety foam. I'm actually brain dead. Unfortunately stuck in the safety foam. Boy, I bet that's going to be the only thing bad to happen in here. You then proceed to the nearest axe dispenser, arm up, and then chop the foam. You can also hit Daisuke with the axe here, by the way. It's pretty funny. This is also where we learn that while very eager, he's not the brightest. While editing this video, I forgot all about this one scene, my favorite scene from the whole game. I love it so much. It made me burst out laughing. You can't fit in there to fix it, right? So I can totally handle it. Captain, give me the axe. Someone say. Jimmy, waiting for you at the exit, then proceeds to tell you all about his love for My Little Pony. And after his long-winded rant, you then tell him you're going to be doing his psyche eval. But on your way to the cockpit, things seem to take a turn. Before you know it, the ship changes drastically, seemingly endless and void-like. The only option is to jump. And, with no warning other than a loud, blaring siren, you are dragged into Evangelion. Get in the robot, Jimmy, or Curly will have to. This episode proving that the mystery person at the beginning really was Curly. And, after snapping back to reality, oh, there goes gravity. You then do the psyche eval on Jimmy, as any sane person would. And, after the psyche eval is finished, we get to see Curly and Jimmy's friendship, where Curly talks about how he feels destined for far more better things, trying to make such a large decision, but unable to do so. This is also where we first hear about Jimmy's problems and how much trouble he's had back on Earth. This heartfelt conversation, however, is cut short by a message from the big boss. Not giving names, because to them, their bosses are just faceless entities hiding behind a corporation and a mascot. And other than print-offs, they haven't even had contact with anyone outside of the group for well over a year.
A business operating at a steady profit can give its workers security and employee benefits. Operating. A giant of limitless power at man's command. And where was it science found that giant? In the atom. Profits, no strikes. Remember, you're the big boss. Government control, no worry about votes. Name your own salary. Bigger crops,
lower cost. Why, Insum even makes the weather perfect every day.
Mouthwash. The supposed life-saving cargo that 5 people have been spending well over a year in space transporting is just thousands, maybe even millions of bottles of mouthwash. I mean, what did you expect? Did you even read the title? The only real use they would have for it would be as a disinfectant, but as Enya states, the sugar content in them renders them useless. So the only practical use for them is to get drunk, which Swansea promptly does, which, as he states, ends his 15 years of sobriety, as he realizes they're probably all goners anyways. Good riddance and cheers to Captain Curly. Hear, hear. Jumping back to just after Curly received the news from the bosses themselves, and once you find them, it's a surprise party! In fact, the crew are having their one communal birthday party they are allotted to. Lethal Company, I know I harp on it so much, but literally Lethal Company, I swear, in like the next scene, they're gonna be chased by like the Rolling Giant or something.
Hell no, how do we get out? Oh, hell no.
What?
Oh, hell no.
Oh,
How do we get out?
no.
And as the captain, you have to make the cake. There's a lot of talk about responsibility and stuff like that in this game, and it'll all make sense later. But I also find it funny how the sweetener is only accessible by the captain. One of the few average commodities we take advantage of daily in our lives can only be accessed by the highest ranking member on a ship. And throughout the entire process of making this cake, you have the memo from the boss sitting in your inventory, staring right back at you every single time you open it up. Once finished with making and icing the cake, you get a cute little birthday jingle. And now it's time. You bring the cake over to the table, but you break the news to the rest of the crew, your crew, where you get to sit through an uncomfortable scene where they talk about losing their jobs and not knowing where to go after this final mission is done. Which is a very real issue many people are seeing happen even today, and it's made even more uncomfortable by the jankiest cutting mechanics in a game to make you look like an absolute fool after delivering some of the worst news you can possibly deliver. Happy birthday to us. This is the weirdest cutting mechanic. It then cuts to some odd hour at night, woken up by Curly's sounds of groaning and pain. Probably a common occurrence after 3 months of being stranded with no help in sight. You try and find Enya to see if he's been given his meds yet. Yet, you find both her and Swansea talking in the cockpit. Talking behind Jimmy's back? We'll find out what they're talking about later. Going back up to give Curly his meds, it's more spiteful this time. Jimmy's words dripping with hate. as the screen fades to black, it's a lot different this time. You can hear Jimmy beating Curly. This one is a lot more uncomfortable to sit through. Cut into another schizo dream where, wait, if that's Curly, so that means we're playing as Jimmy. Huh. It must be the getting to him. You sit across from Curly, and he's talking, if that's what you call it. Maybe it's just a representation of Jimmy wanting to have, one last normal conversation with his friend, like he did during the psych eval. Ironically enough, the first time we get to talk to him after the psych evaluation, we are already going insane. During the dream, or complete mental breakdown, you have to get the comically large knife from earlier to cut your cake. But the only thing you can find is the axe, the same one Swansea has, the same one Curly instructed him to hold onto, and he hasn't given it up this whole time. And once you get the axe, it's time. When we get back to Curly, he's now laying on the table. Approaching him, we lift up the axe and... we cut to 4 months. We will find out what this means, I promise you. It'll all make sense later. On the floor, Daisuke is wasted, sick from just drinking mouthwash, probably trying to keep up with Swansea. And in what is probably most the important scene for him, he talks about how he feels like he has no real path in life, and how his family just views him as lazy and probably incompetent like we did at the beginning. The saddest part being that even in a situation like this, he just hopes his mom doesn't blame herself. Heading to the lounge, we find Inya. She's still worried about Curly, asking you to break some of the foam in the hallway to get to the extra meds. Which leads us to Swansea, who is so plastered on mouthwash. He is busting it down so hard right now.
Spinning my face, my love, it won't face me. Spinning my face, my love, it won't change me. Spinning my face, my love, I feel crazy. Spinning my face, my love, I feel strange. Spinning my face, my love, it won't face me. Spinning my face, my love, it won't change me. Spinning my face,
Really showing how off the wagon he is. There are dozens of empty bottles all around him. And after a little convincing, he lets you take the axe so you can get to work. And after making quick work of the foam, you gain access to some extra medication and some some alcohol. Anya states that giving Curly his meds makes her uncomfortable, which Jimmy goes off and shows his true colors, showing how all this responsibility really is driving him insane. I'm getting us through this. It's find the code scanner, then figure out the door code, get the axe, chop up the foam, but not too much. And best of all, give Curly his fucking medicine. But I'm burying it. I have to. Because the captain has to take fucking responsibility on this goddamn ship. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Go make sure Daisuke doesn't choke on his own vomit. No, I can... I'll take care of it, Anya. I always do. And after a quick session with the boys, with a new time skip card, 6 hours till judgment, which during my stream, which was my first playthrough, scared the absolute piss out of me, and I didn't know how to respond. Wait, what? What do you mean judgment? Jimmy, get the fuck out of here. Hold on, what's happening? Oh! And it's Swansea, the same axe you've been holding on to, about to kill you when... Curly and Anya are talking by the screensaver window. She's pointing out the dead pixel on the screen to Curly and how she always sees it even when she's not looking at it, which Curly can't even see even when he's looking directly at it. The dead pixel taking up less than 1% of the screen, the rest of the 99.9% just being blind to it. And when asking how many days left of the journey there are, Curly responds with 237 days, which is just under 8 months. Anya very quickly responds. And I mean, if you haven't figured it out by now, you're just stupid. Like me. And her pointing out how there are only locks on the cockpit in the medical room really drives the point home that the company could care less about what happens to the people on board, just as long as company purchases are fine. And yet again, after this conversation, we jump to 5 months. But before you can go around the ship, Daisuke comes running up to you, panicked, saying Anya is trapped in the medical room. And after a brief conversation, we learn she's not stuck. She's locked herself in, telling Jimmy she should have done this from the beginning, and giving us another amazing quote that our worst moments don't define us. We are then reminded that Curly is still in the room with her, and that they need to act fast, and that the thing that she should have done from the beginning could possibly involve him. So they go down to utility where Swansea is, because the same vent that is in there can lead them right into medical. But he's still refusing them entry, guarding the door, even after he's given up. We then get that dreadful time skip. 8 hours till judgment. But the first thing you see is Daisuke, and he's on the ground, having been impaled, electrocuted, and even cooked. Panicking, looking for some sort of disinfectant. Entering the medical bay, we see, or don't see, something so bad, Jimmy's mind is blocking or outright refusing to even acknowledge it. We then run down to the cargo hold, and the only thing that could possibly save Daisuke is the mouthwash, where the journey down is a lot more desolate. Footsteps echoing out in what seems like an endless room, and you even enter the staircase room from Squid Games. Coming across a note, it reads, "A blind beast, aimless and restless. You can't run from it." The monster being some sort of invisible horse. I don't like him. Kind of looks like the art from Trevor Henderson. Escaping it after we get what we came for, and we dump it on Daisuke. His screams of pain glitching out to another time skip. Just after Anya locked herself in the medbay. Jimmy's only option is to knock out Swansea to get access to the utility room by using the strongest alcohol they have, the disinfectant. I also think it's kind of funny how, with all that is going on, Daisuke can still have such a simple dream of being on a beach with hot babes. Truly a ladies' man. This is also the part where he says the amazing line from the intro. May we never go to hell, but always be on our way. And after knocking out Swansea, you get access to the utility room, and there was no foam. The whole room was clear the entire time. Swansea has lied since the beginning. There was only one working pod left. Not like it would make a difference anyways, with there being 5 people. But that can be dealt with later. Right now, they need to get into medbay. And Daisuke is clearly nervous, not wanting to go in, but Jimmy nudges him forward, even telling him captain's orders. So he goes in, and well, we all know how this ends. Cutting to just one day before the crash, your objective is to find the gun. Playing as Curly, you're looking for the missing gun. The one that's been missing since the start of the game. The spot we've been checking constantly in. And in the cockpit, Anya's in too. She's the one responsible for hiding it. Curly, trying to comfort her, tells her the crew, including herself, are his responsibility. And I think it's time we talk about the real story of Mouthwashing. That being Jimmy forcing himself on Enya. The clues being sprinkled throughout the story as you play. The way she jumps when Jimmy approaches her. The late night talks with Curly. About how the sleeping quarters don't have locks. Even keeping track of the exact time in months. Even the time skip title cards show this, with time before the crash being done in days and after in months. Possibly to show how time tracks like that during a pregnancy. It's also why she's one of the few people who didn't drink the mouthwash right away, stating it wouldn't fix anything. I also have a little side theory that Daisuke was the only one on the ship to not ever find out what happened. That's why he's never standoffish with Jimmy. Because in my headcanon, Daisuke would have beaten the ever-living shit out of Jimmy if he ever did find out. Speaking of Daisuke, he's not doing well because the mouthwash didn't work as a disinfectant. Just like Enya said, Jimmy either not listening or choosing to ignore her purposefully wasted the only thing that they could have used to save him to knock out Swansea. An act that makes even more sense knowing what we know now. He acted on drugging and knocking out Swansea way too fast, even making up excuses that he could handle it or he'll be fine, even forcing Daisuke to do something he didn't want to do, forcing him basically into his own grave. And with no other option to help Daisuke, Swansea does the only thing he can. Hey kid, you hear me? Daisuke? Hey, stop. Don't move. It's alright, Daisuke. Calm down. This line of work, you could never have become like miserable old Swansea. What a tragedy. Decades of hauling ass for Pony Express. Big, mighty bruiser with all his shiny tools. This is where it got me. The good life, huh? I thought you were dumber than a can of paint. Always just chewing my ear off about nothing. Useless ray of goddamn sunshine. Not an ace student, career workhorse, or force of ambition. Just a damn good kid trying his best. You could have taught an old fool like me a lot. Close your eyes, Daisuke. Swansea is not the bad guy. I thought so when I first played. He comes off as evil, a liar, and he even spirals down into what you think will be his villain arc, like fucking Homelander or something.
I've given you everything that I ever wanted, and it's still not good enough for you. Why? You're ungrateful? You go behind my back? You lie to me? Why?
But he's not. He's just another victim. Swansea, just like in his name, is like a swan. Very territorial and are known to kill their young if they are too weak or injured to go on. Swansea, after talking to Anya, probably found out what Jimmy did to her and was lying about the utility room, the last working cryopod. Not so that he could use it, but so he could make sure Jimmy never got his hands on it. Finally, seeing what was in the medical bay, it's Anya, and she's gone, taking what was left of the pain meds to do it, the act that Jimmy tried to block out so hard, but now with 2 victims gone, he can't ignore it any longer. And that's where we also find out where she hid the gun case, in one of the only few rooms she probably felt safe in, one of the few rooms with an actual lock on the door. And after grabbing the gun, Curly just, I guess, finally breaks. It's the only thing he can do after seeing how far things have gone. Cut into the day of the crash, we finally see what happened during the intro. I told him, Anya, you should have waited for me. What did he say? Nothing that makes any difference. Did he seem angry? Where did he go? He just walked away. Curly, I don't want him here anymore. Hold on. Fuck. Just wait. I need to find him. Everything's going to be okay. Finding out Anya told Jimmy about her pregnancy, Curly, panicking, rushes to find Jimmy. This is where we also get to see what Curly looked like before his mummification. And the warning siren's going off. Red lights flashing. And we find out it was Jimmy all along. He crashed the ship after learning what happened and not wanting to take responsibility back on Earth for what he did. He crashed the ship in hopes to just get rid of the problem. Curly, knowing about this problem days before the crash, chose not to do anything because, well, Jimmy is his friend. And he paid the price for that. I even read somewhere that there's a theory that Curly's skin didn't burn off, but that it was peeled off when they removed him from the foam, just like Daisuke complained about before. And now, after basically killing everyone on the ship, you go full Evangelion, having a mental breakdown, imagining everyone's still happy and alive. It's also here that we find out that the cans of soup didn't feed them for long. It's also the other reason that they hinted to at the beginning for keeping him alive still. They ate Curly's legs and arms, stating that we have to accept days like these, which is funny coming from the guy who caused all of this and really hasn't suffered at all from it. We then get a fun vent minigame. It's like from a month. Oh, hey, Daisuke. The flowers we see in the game at this point are hibiscus flowers. The same flower on Daisuke's shirt. They can be seen later in the vent, but you can't look at them, otherwise the literal darkness consumes you, forcing you to look at the vent you forced him into. The death you forced on him. They were also found to cause an abortion in some women, otherwise known as fetus deletion. I'm using comedy as a coping mechanism right now because this story is infinitely more depressing than anything I've encountered recently. And after crawling out of the vents, you find Swansea tied to a chair. There was never actually a fight. Jimmy just tied Swansea up and beat him. The same objects used earlier in a defensive manner. Probably what Jimmy tells himself when he tries to justify what he did. There's even a fun graveyard minigame where you have to 360 headshot Swansea before he gets you with the axe. And the area has photos and caskets made for Daisuke. Again, probably just Jimmy's mind trying to justify to himself for killing Swansea. Although, with the way he acted around him the entire game, you'd think he would have done it way earlier. Once you're about to finish off Swansea for real, he gives you a final speech. It is said in their final moments, swans give off a final performance of sorts, swan song, if you will. You can consider this his. I'm gonna let it play out in its full, because it is that good. You can skip to here if you want to just keep going. After a nice, relaxing stroll, we find Curly strapped to a table with monitors set up to see inside of him. The different angles not making sense. You can take the piece of meat you got earlier and force it down Curly's throat to feed him, throwing up if we get it wrong, like how you would if someone jammed their fingers down your throat. And after astral projecting himself into the vacuum of space, Jimmy is now walking through the void. Speaking to Curly this time, he asks Jimmy why he doesn't just finish it, because, after all, if anyone finds them, if there's still, like, even remotely a chance, he can just blame it all on Curly, like he's been doing the whole time. Curly, admitting he should have stopped him, and seeing how this is all just the delusional visions of a madman at this point. It's safe to say this is just Jimmy telling himself someone should have stopped him, that he's trapped in this hell now because no one tried to stop him. I feel like this is also made even more apparent by the wording of we were trapped when Jimmy was the reason everything fell apart. It was all of Jimmy's fault. Yet he still feels the need to say we, even when begging for forgiveness. I also don't know how to segue into this, but I love the little detail that in the hallway in this part, everyone's IDs are visible except Enya's. Hers are hidden in the back, showing how even at this point, Jimmy doesn't even, or won't even think about her. And this is the part where we finally meet him. The secret sixth character. It's always been here. Watching in the background. You probably even talked to him at some point throughout the game. And he's the only character to have actual voice lines in this game. Polly. Polly is a representation of the company, obviously. Something they took their anger out on after the shutdown. But that's not entirely the truth. Jimmy sees it as his responsibility. his kid. He even calls Jimmy old man when they first talk, making fun of him, calling him caged and misunderstood, trapped with no way out, the consequences of his own actions. Caged and misunderstood. It's literally me, bro. Like, oh. Jimmy trying to use the same words Anya was telling him way early on. Except in this context, he's just trying to justify to himself that he isn't a monster. Even after all the horrible things he's done for no reason other than his pride, his ego, and, well, the reason that's been harped on the whole game. Just avoiding responsibility. And if it hasn't been obvious at this point, Jimmy has been obsessing over Curly the entire game. Possibly look up Super Bunny Man? What is this? What is this? What the fuck? What? What in the world? Their entire time spent together, honestly. Being envious of his position as captain. How Curly can have hobbies, because, after all, hobbies are for those who can afford them. And how different everyone treats him. You can see the difference when you play as Jimmy and then you switch to Curly. And now, the final moments before Jimmy's judgment. You carry him through the ship. It's practically silent except for the labored breathing of Curly. Probably to show that the only thing on Jimmy's mind right now is Curly. Before you're given your final task as captain, to go home. In the final moments before Jimmy's judgment, you carry Curly throughout the ship with only one destination in mind. It's practically silent, except for the labored breathing of Curly. Putting him in the cryopod, as at this point it's the only thing that gives him even the slightest chance of survival now. It's okay, Curly. You're going to be okay. You always had my back. I ended up hurting you, even though I was trying to save us. But now you'll survive. It's like you said, together we can fix anything. I'm just proud I got to be your friend and co-pilot, Captain. No one can hurt you now. We fixed it. I fixed it. And I didn't catch it until my second time playing, but Jimmy never actually apologizes to Curly in his final moments. It's only in his own imagination that he does. Kind of just like how he blames everyone else for his troubles. He can't even say sorry to his supposed best friend, even after he mangled him and allowed the rest of the crew to just hate him. And with no one else left to save, he does the only responsible thing left to do. And that's Mouthwashing. A story about how one man's narcissism and pride can ruin the lives of not only himself, but everyone else around him. Especially when no one takes the proper actions against him. Everyone blames Jimmy and calls him the bad guy, but I believe there's a second bad guy. Curly. Like I've said before, he's paid his dues and then some. But his complicity with Jimmy, even after Enya told him what he's done to her, if anything, in a real world scenario, Curly is an enabler. Someone who is friends with a person and doesn't call them out for their heinous actions. It's making it even worse by leaving Jimmy alone with Enya, trapped on the ship. Swansea is the embodiment of a man who's been through the years and is just sick of it. His final swan song, again, if you will, says it all. He was the responsible one who took care of Daisuke, something Jimmy clearly wasn't capable of doing. Daisuke, the one responsible for the Yimpy sticky note, which I'm only mentioning now because I didn't even know that existed until halfway through writing the script and recording it. Yeah, he's just a kid. We're never really told exactly how old he is, but it's unanimously agreed by the community to be around 18 to 19 years old, which by no means is young, but compared to Swansea or even Jimmy, he's still pretty young. Just a young guy being manipulated by a monster and forced to suffer. And then there's Enya, the nervous nurse of the Toplar, being targeted by Jimmy just because she's a woman. And even worse, the first guy she went to for help didn't even do anything. It's probably why it took so long for her to tell Swansea. Like a Shakespearean tale, this one ends in tragedy or a loss, and acts as sort of a warning to those in their own lives that if you have people in your life that commit awful acts, the only bad action you can take is no action.